Welcome to the Souls of the Horizon and J-Cat Adventures. Immerse yourself in thrilling escapades, luxurious settings, and captivating storytelling fantasies through ebooks and print editions. Crafted for suspense, adventure, and timeless drama. Join a global community of fans as we dive into great storytelling. Subscribe now and awaken your spirit for excitement, and don't forget to click the link to donate and help me continue creating the stories you love.
Miss Bella, Queen of the Block. Miss Bella Smith was a force of nature, and no one who crossed her path ever forgot it. At 68 years old, she stood tall, proud, bold, and unapologetically herself. Miss Bella didn't care about the latest trends, and she certainly didn't care about what people said behind her back. In fact, she often said, "If they talkin', that means I'm doing something right." Her curves were as bold as her personality, 240 pounds of pure no-nonsense, who walked through life with a swagger and a smirk that could melt steel. Miss Bella was attractive, but not in the conventional sense. She had a kind of beauty that came from the inside out, confidence, strength, and a level of S-but that could leave any man or woman speechless. She kept her .25 caliber pistol in her pocketbook, right next to her peppermints and the old lipstick she used when she felt like adding a little extra flair. Because when you've lived through as much as Miss Bella had, you learn quickly that you never knew when you need to defend yourself. Born and raised in the heart of the city, Miss Bella had seen it all: poverty, crime, heartache, and triumph. Her childhood wasn't easy. Her mother died when she was young, and her father worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. But Miss Bella had a way of making the best out of any situation. She raised herself with grit, humor, and a determination that never let her down. When people looked at Miss Bella, they saw a woman who was hard as nails on the outside but had a heart as soft as cotton on the inside. She loved children deeply, and there wasn't a child on the block who didn't know that Miss Bella had their back. If they needed someone to talk to, she was there. If they needed advice, she'd give it, no sugarcoating, just straight talk. But don't let her looks fool you. Miss Bella could handle herself in any situation. She knew when to joke and when not to. And if you ever tried to cross her, well, you'd learn, it wasn't a good idea. One Saturday morning, Miss Bella was walking down the street, arms swinging, a bag of groceries in one hand, and her mind already planning the community picnic she'd been organizing for the past month. Everyone was going to show up, whether they liked it or not. Miss Bella had it like that. People knew when she said something, it got done. As she approached the corner, she noticed a commotion. A group of men were gathered outside, in front of the liquor store, talking loud and acting a fool. Miss Bella didn't hesitate. She walked right up to them, her heels clicking on the pavement like a ticking clock. "What's going on?" she asked, looking the men over with a raised eyebrow. One of the men, Leroy, a regular troublemaker in the neighborhood, tried to act tough. "Mind your business, old lady. We just having a little chat." Miss Bella didn't flinch. "Well, from the looks of it, it don't seem like you're just talking." She eyed them carefully. "If you got a problem with someone, you need to handle it like an adult. And if you're just out here 'cause you got too much time on your hands, maybe you should take a walk and do something productive. There's a neighborhood picnic going on later today, might be something good for you to attend." The men exchanged uncomfortable glances. They knew better than to challenge Miss Bella. She had a reputation, and it wasn't one that came lightly. "What you gonna do? Call the cops?" Leroy scoffed. Miss Bella smiled, a grin that could freeze fire. "Oh no, Leroy. I don't call the cops. I just talk a little sense into people. And when that don't work..." She patted the side of her purse where her pistol was tucked, making sure the weight was felt. Leroy gulped. All right. We'll chill out. No need to make it a big deal." Miss Bella gave them one last look before turning on her heel. "Smart choice. Now, y'all better come to that picnic later. It's gonna be the best damn barbecue this block's ever seen." She walked away, her head high, and her mind already back on the picnic. But she wasn't done for the day yet. As the sun set, the picnic was in full swing. The aroma of grilled chicken and ribs filled the air. Children played tag, their laughter ringing through the neighborhood. Adults mingled, telling lies, playing card games and catching up on old times. Miss Bella was everywhere, making sure everything was running. But then, just as she was starting to relax, she heard a familiar voice. "Hey, Miss Bella. I need to talk to you." It was little Marcus, a kid from down the street. He was about 10 years old, skinny as a rail, but with a smile that could light up a room. He tugged at her sleeve, his eyes wide with worry. "What's wrong, little man?" Miss Bella asked, bending down to his level. "I saw something. Something I don't think I should have seen. It was a man in the alley. He was doing something shady. I think he's a drug dealer." Miss Bella's eyes narrowed. "You did the right thing by coming to me. Now, where did you see him?" Marcus pointed toward the alley behind the park. "He was back there. He looked like he was talking to some other guys." Miss Bella straightened up, her face hardening. She turned and called to her neighbor, Miss Rose, who was handling the grill. "I'll be back in a minute. Keep an eye on the kids." She walked to the alley with a purpose, her heels clicking ominously. When she turned the corner, she found the man Marcus had pointed out. He was talking to two others, a briefcase in hand, looking every bit like he was up to no good. Miss Bella didn't blink. "Hey, what's the hell are you doing?" she called out, her voice carrying through the alley. The men froze, caught off guard. One of them, a tall, wiry man, tried to brush past her. "This is none of your business, lady." Miss Bella stepped in front of him, blocking his path. "Now, I'm gonna say this real slow for you. If you got drugs or anything illegal going on, you better take it somewhere else. I don't care if it's in my neighborhood, my yard, or my damn block. You get that?" The man looked her up and down, sizing her up. "You think I'm scared of you?" Miss Bella reached into her pocketbook, her fingers brushing the grip of her pistol. She didn't pull it out, didn't need to, but the implication was clear. "You might not be scared of me," she said, "but I'll make sure you regret ever thinking you could mess with me. Now, you got 10 seconds to get your butt off my block." The man gulped. "We'll leave," he muttered, backing away. Miss Bella didn't move until they were gone. Then, she turned and walked back to the park, satisfied. "You all right, Miss Bella?" Marcus asked, looking up at her. "Better than all right, baby," Miss Bella said, ruffling his hair. "Just another day in paradise." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Miss Bella looked out over the neighborhood she had protected her whole life. She was a woman of strength, of courage, of fire, and nothing, absolutely nothing, could stand in her way. In the end, it wasn't just about fighting the bad guys or making sure the block was safe. It was about showing everyone that a woman like Miss Bella Smith, with her love for her people and her unapologetic heart, was a queen in her own right. And on that block, she reigned supreme. The next week, Miss Bella was walking through the neighborhood again, but this time, it wasn't for a community picnic or to handle troublemakers. It was a routine day, like any other. She was heading to the laundromat, a task that most people might consider mundane. But for Miss Bella, even the little things came with flair. As she stepped into the laundromat, the familiar smell of detergent and fabric softener filled her nose. A few regulars were seated along the rows of washing machines, and there was a quiet buzz of conversation. But when Miss Bella walked in, the mood shifted, every head turned. "Lord have mercy, here she come," Mrs. Linda muttered, sipping on her coffee. Linda was a regular at the laundromat, old enough to be Miss Bella's mother and always full of gossip. She had a fondness for telling everyone in the neighborhood what they were doing wrong, but no one ever took her too seriously. Still, Linda respected Miss Bella, like everyone else did. "Hey, Miss Linda," Miss Bella called out, grinning as she made her way to a washer. "How's your grandbaby doing?" "Oh, she's growing up too fast. And you know how it is, she's always trying to sneak past me with her little friends. That girl got some nerves. You ever catch your kid sneaking out? You just wait till they try it with you." Miss Bella chuckled, tossing her dirty laundry into the nearest machine. "I know exactly what you mean. I swear, when my daughter was a teenager, I would catch her sneaking out the window like I wasn't gonna see her. But you can't be sneaky when you got eyes like mine." You need to keep your head on a swivel when you're raising young folks. Linda laughed, shaking her head. You are something, Miss Bella. Never met a woman who was so fearless. Girl, I ain't got time to be scared, Miss Bella replied, her tone calm but firm. You raise your kids with love and rules. If they step out of line, you pull 'em back in. And if anyone messes with you, you show 'em what you're made of. As Miss Bella slid a couple of quarters into the machine, a young man walked in. He was wearing a hoodie, his face partially obscured, and he looked like he hadn't shaved in a while. He was muttering to himself, but when he saw Miss Bella, his eyes darted quickly to the ground. Miss Bella paused. There was something about the way he looked, shifty, nervous, out of place. Most people who came into the laundromat knew what they were doing. This guy didn't seem to fit in. Her instincts kicked in. She'd seen the type before, young men caught up in something bad. Maybe it wasn't drugs this time, but trouble followed them like a shadow. Hey young man, she called out, giving him a slow, deliberate look. The guy froze, then straightened up. Miss Bella, right? That's right. I don't think I've seen you around here before. She folded her arms over her chest, giving him a once-over. What's your name? Jamar, he said, his voice low. I, just moved into the building down the street. New to the neighborhood. Miss Bella's eyes narrowed, but she gave him a warm smile. Well, Jamar, I'm glad you moved into the neighborhood. I don't mind new folks, but I need to tell you one thing before you get too comfortable. Jamar swallowed. What's that? Miss Bella leaned in just slightly, her voice dropping to a stern but calm tone. This block is mine. I don't play games, and I sure as hell don't let anyone come around here messing up. You treat this place with respect, and you'll be just fine. But if I hear you're up to no good, selling, stealing, or bringing trouble into my hood, I'll make sure you regret it. Jamar took a step back, his hand suddenly fumbling with his hoodie strings. I ain't here for trouble, Miss Bella. I swear. Just trying to get a job, you know? Miss Bella studied him for a long beat, then nodded, satisfied with his sincerity, for now. Good, she said. You keep your nose clean and your head down, and I'll be just fine with you. But if you slip up, you won't get a second chance. I'll be the first one to make sure you feel it. Jamar nodded vigorously. I get it. I really do. I am not looking for trouble, I swear. Miss Bella gave him a final, lingering look before turning back to her laundry. All right then. Keep it that way. As Jamar walked toward the back of the laundromat, Miss Bella turned to Linda, who was eyeing her curiously. You ever notice how the young ones today got no respect? Linda asked, shaking her head. You really gonna let him off like that? Miss Bella smiled, tapping the side of her head. You gotta know when to let people talk their way out of trouble, Linda. Not everyone's bad. You gotta give 'em a chance. Linda clucked her tongue. Well, I hope you're right. The world's a mess. Ain't no easy answers these days. Miss Bella leaned back in her chair, folding her arms across her chest. That's true. But the way I see it, you can either sit back and complain about it, or you can take charge and fix what you can. I'm fixing things in my own way. One step at a time. Weeks passed and Jamar became a regular face in the neighborhood, always polite, always keeping to himself. Miss Bella kept an eye on him, but more than that, she took him under her wing. She made sure he knew where to find work, helped him land a couple of odd jobs, and occasionally gave him advice on life. She wasn't trying to be his mother, but she wasn't about to let another young man fall through the cracks. But trouble had a way of creeping in. Late one evening, as Miss Bella was walking home from the corner store, she noticed a black SUV slowly driving down her block. The windows were tinted, and the car looked out of place. She stopped in her tracks, her instincts on full alert. The last thing she needed was some stranger stirring up drama. Miss Bella kept her distance, watching the vehicle as it crept by. It was then that she saw Jamar standing on the corner. He was talking to someone, a man in a leather jacket with slick-back hair. Miss Bella's eyes narrowed. The man in the jacket looked too clean-cut for this neighborhood. He wasn't a local, and his presence was giving her all kinds of bad vibes. She pulled her phone out of her purse and dialed a number she knew by heart. Miss Rose, she said in a low voice, you got eyes on the street? I got a bad feeling about some folks up here. A few seconds later, Rose's voice crackled through the phone. What's going on? I think Jamar's in deep with someone he shouldn't be, Miss Bella said, her voice steady but firm. Keep your eyes peeled. I'm gonna go check things out. Miss Bella crossed the street, her steps firm and purposeful. She had no intentions of letting this go. Jamar might be trying to turn his life around, but the streets didn't let people go that easily. As she approached, she could hear snippets of the conversation between Jamar and the man in the leather jacket. Listen, man, Jamar was saying, his voice low, I don't want any part of that. I told you, I'm trying to stay clean. The man in the jacket's voice was cold, dismissive. You want to get anywhere, you gotta play the game, Jamar. You think you can do this by yourself? You ain't got the skills, and you sure as hell don't have the backing. Miss Bella stepped forward, her voice loud and unwavering. Jamar, what the hell is going on here? Jamar turned, startled, his eyes wide. Miss Bella, I didn't know he was. The man in the leather jacket turned around, sizing her up. Who's this? He sneered. You some kind of neighborhood watch? Miss Bella smiled. Yes, try me. You need to get your butt back in that SUV and leave this block before I make you regret it. The man laughed, but it was a nervous, uncomfortable laugh. You think you scare me, lady? I don't think, Miss Bella replied. I know. The man hesitated, then glanced at Jamar, who was shifting uncomfortably. Miss Bella didn't wait. She stepped forward, her hand brushing the handle of her pistol inside her purse. I don't make threats, honey, she said, her voice low and dangerous. I make promises. The man didn't say another word. He turned and walked briskly toward the SUV. The engine revved, tires squealing as the vehicle sped off down the street. Miss Bella watched them leave. Then, she turned to Jamar. If you ever get mixed up with people like that again, I'll be the one to make sure you don't have a chance to turn things around. You hear me? Jamar nodded quickly, his face pale. Yes, ma'am. I won't. I promise. Miss Bella sighed, her heart heavy. Good. Now get it together, Jamar. I'm gonna make sure you stay on track. But only you can decide if you're gonna make it out of this mess. You feel me? I do. I won't let you down, Miss Bella. I swear. See that you don't. She patted him on the shoulder, turned on her heel, and walked home. Another day, another victory for Miss Bella Smith. And as long as she had breath in her body, she would keep fighting for the people she loved, no matter the odds. Because in her world, there was no room for weakness, no time for fear. It was the end of a long day, and Miss Bella was sitting on her porch, sipping a tall glass of sweet iced tea, watching the neighborhood go about its business. The sun was low, casting long shadows over the block, but Miss Bella was in no hurry to head inside. After all, the world was her stage, and this little corner of it was hers to rule. Jamar had kept his promise. He stayed out of trouble and even managed to land a steady job working for Mr. Benson, the local mechanic. Every now and then, he'd stop by to check in with Miss Bella, his unofficial life coach and mentor. But today was different. Jamar had just walked up the block, a box in his hands and a nervous look on his face. Miss Bella, I need to talk to you real quick, he called, his voice trembling a little. Miss Bella raised an eyebrow, the ice cubes in her tea clinking as she took a sip. Jamar, if this is another one of your I'm turning my life around speeches, you better hurry up. You got 5 minutes before I watch my stories. Jamar swallowed hard. It's not like that, Miss Bella. I promise. It's just. I think I messed up. Miss Bella squinted at him, noticing the box in his hands. What you got there? A stray cat? No, ma'am, Jamar said quickly. Well, it's a gift. From me to you. Miss Bella's eyes softened, but only a little. Uh-huh. And what's the catch? No catch, Jamar said, his voice a little too eager. I thought you might like it. He handed her the box, and Miss Bella carefully opened it, expecting to find something nice, maybe a fancy candle or some expensive lotion. But when she saw what was inside, her face went from curiosity to sheer disbelief. Inside the box was a potted plant, but not just any plant. It was a cactus. A cactus that had been dressed up in a tiny little outfit. The cactus was wearing a tiny red bow tie. Miss Bella blinked twice. Jamar. A joke, right? Is this some kind of how to win Miss Bella's heart stunt you got going on here? Jamar shuffled his feet awkwardly. I just thought you might like it. I mean, it's got character, right? Miss Bella looked at the cactus, then back at Jamar, her eyes narrowing. Character? Boy, that cactus got more personality than half the people on this block. It looked like it's about to drop some bars for a rap album. She poked the cactus with her finger. It ain't even a cute cactus. It's a mean cactus. I bet this cactus give you the side eye every time you walk by it. Jamar scratched the back of his head. I thought. Listen, Miss Bella said, holding the cactus up with both hands like it was a baby. This cactus is like me. Tough on the outside. A little prickly. But once you get past all the thorns, you might find a little heart in there. Jamar smiled, relieved she wasn't throwing the plant at him. So, you like it? Miss Bella looked at the cactus again and sighed. I ain't sure if I like it, Jamar. But I know one thing, this little cactus better not mess with my porch, or I'll put it in the freezer for a day or two. Let it think about its life choices. Jamar burst out laughing. Miss Bella, you crazy? Don't forget it, baby, Miss Bella said, giving the cactus one last glare. Before setting it down on the porch table. I'll take care of this little fella. But I expect you to check on it every time you come by. You know, make sure it's growing right. You don't want no cactus drama on your watch. Jamar raised his hands in mock surrender. Got it. No cactus drama. I'm on it. As Jamar turned to walk back down the block, Miss Bella looked at the plant and shook her head. Lord, if this cactus could talk. But just then, the neighbors across the street, Mr. Simmons and his wife, Linda, walked by. Linda caught sight of the cactus with the bow tie and stopped in her tracks. Oh my goodness, Miss Bella, Linda said, her eyes wide. What on earth is that? A cactus wearing a bow tie? Miss Bella put on her best deadpan face. Oh, this little thing? That's my new security system. If you try to mess with my porch, this cactus'll give you the side eye and a prickle. It's foolproof. Linda looked absolutely perplexed. Miss Bella, you're something else. I know, Linda, Miss Bella said, leaning back in her chair with a satisfied smile. But I will make sure that cactus gets an education. And if it gets out of line, it's going on timeout in the garage. As the neighbors continued on their walk, Jamar turned back around with a grin on his face. Miss Bella, you sure know how to make people think twice. That's the point, baby, Miss Bella said with a wink. In this world, you gotta be a little sharp to survive. And if I gotta make my cactus into a secret weapon, so be it. Ain't nobody messing with me now. With that, she leaned back in her chair, kicking her feet up onto the porch rail. Her smile stretched across her face as she watched the sunset, her eyes flicking back to the cactus. You better be on your best behavior, she muttered to the cactus. I don't care how cute your bow tie is. I'll send you on a field trip to the back of the shed if you step out of line. And with that, Miss Bella, 240 pounds of sass, strength, and no nonsense, settled in for another evening of ruling the block, one day at a time.
Breaking down the wall, 60 years deep, but his spirit is young. Every heart is strong. From the binary beats to the pixelated sky, soaring high.
And that's a wrap on another thrilling episode. From heart-pounding action to emotional connections, Jay Bahari will never fails to excite. Don't miss the next adventure. Subscribe now for more suspense, romance, fantasy, and mystery. Want to dive deeper? Grab an ebook on Etsy or a paperback on Amazon to keep the excitement going. You can also catch the podcast on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or Amazon Music. If you're hooked on the souls of the Horizon and J-Cat adventures, show your support today. Click the link to donate, and help us continue creating the stories you love. Until next time, stay adventurous. There's no mystery is too big to solve.
In the realm of love, the connections bind.
Disclaimer and notes. The Adventures of the Souls of the Horizon and J. Cat Adventures is a work of fiction. The characters, events, and settings depicted in this series are the products of the author's imagination and are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. This series contains mature themes, including but not limited to romantic and erotic content, that may not be suitable for all audiences. Reader discretion is advised. The depictions of relationships, encounters, and situations are intended for entertainment purposes only and do not reflect real-life practices or endorse any specific behaviors. The portrayal of characters, including their actions and interactions, is intended to be a dramatic and fictional narrative. The series is not intended to promote or condone any form of violence, exploitation, or abuse. The characters of the Souls of the Horizon and J. Cat Adventures, while depicted as a hero in fictional scenarios, is a creation meant to entertain and should not be considered a role model for real-life behavior. Readers are reminded that this is a work of fiction and should enjoy it as such. Any interpretations or applications of the content within real-world contexts are the responsibility of the reader. The author and publishers disclaim any liability for actions taken by readers based on fictional portrayals and scenarios in the series. Notes: J. Bahari, the imaginative mind behind the Souls of the Horizon and the Adventures of J. Cat, has a unique talent for weaving tales of mystery, romance, fantasy and adventure. With a flair for creating captivating characters and intricate plots. J. Bahari's storytelling is enriched by a deep understanding of human nature and a keen eye for detail, crafting narratives that resonate with both excitement and emotional depth. Each episode of The Souls of the Horizon and J. Cat's Adventures is a testament to Bahari's ability to blend intrigue with passion, creating a world where the extraordinary becomes reality. In this creative journey, J. Bahari has harnessed the power of artificial intelligence to enhance the storytelling process. With the help of AI input, Bahari has been able to explore new dimensions of creativity, pushing the boundaries of conventional storytelling to deliver an experience that is both innovative and compelling. Together, J. Bahari and AI have crafted a series that not only entertains but also captivates the imagination, inviting readers into a world where seduction and suspense intertwine in the most alluring ways. This collaboration stands as a testament to the endless possibilities that arise when human creativity meets cutting-edge technology, forging a path to stories that are as mesmerizing as they are unforgettable.
So here